Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Event Industry News podcast with me, James Dixon. Wishing you all a very good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever or wherever you tune into today's podcast from. And on today's podcast, it's a returning guest. It's somebody that we last spoke to about a year or so ago. It was their first ever podcast, and it was with somebody that through Event Industry News and indeed Event Tech Live and Event Sustainability Live, we've had the pleasure of working with and alongside for the last few years. And today we're going to be talking all things apparel, clothing, branded merchandise. This is the area of expertise that my guests today have the luxury, the privilege, and I guess the enjoyability of working in every day within the events industry. So it's a warm welcome back to the Events Industry News podcast, to TeamTogs and to Karen Saragusi, who joins us as she did last year, and indeed to her colleague Katie Noonan. Good morning to you both and welcome.
Good morning, James.
Nice to have you. I'm getting 2 for 1 today. Karen, you joined us last year, and when we were speaking on email a few weeks ago, Kate said, "No, I'm going to sit in on this one as well." So there's obviously loads to discuss because we need 2 of you here today to chat about all the things that you guys have been up to. Karen, how are you? We last spoke to you a year or so ago, and loads been happening in the TeamTogs world.
Certainly has, and thank you so much for having us back. Lovely to see you again, James. And it
Yeah,
was
not
my first podcast. Yes, haven't found that much fame since, on the podcast market, but
Been on a few panels.
You've done a few panels. Yes, that's true.
I know for a fact you've been on the panels because I'm behind the scenes typing your name into things.
Yes, that's true. Of course, at ESL. So yes, absolutely. So lovely to be back, and thank you for having us. And we are really very excited to be here because so much has been happening in the last year. And it's lovely that Katie could join us today because Katie has been instrumental in working on our business development and sustainability policies, all the changes and the updates that we're making within our business model to service our client needs. So it really has been a full-on year, you could say, and really very happy and privileged to be able to talk to you today and share that news with the events industry.
And if I may say so, it's nice to hear that given what you do as a business, that you are working sort of so closely and in parallel with the sort of the wider messages that are coming out of the events industry at the moment. And the reason I say this, and I say this absolutely in the right in the politest of ways, is that something like branded clothing and apparel is maybe not something that a lot of events organizers would associate as needing a strong relationship with, like some of their other suppliers, if that makes sense. They would just order some, we need some t-shirts, we need some sweatshirts, just order them from a company and get them in. And the approach, and having sort of worked alongside you guys at some events, as well as having had the chance to speak to you on this podcast, is that you seem to take a much more not just focused approach, but sort of hand-in-hand approach in terms of how you commit to working within the events industry as well. Does that all make sense?
It does, and I'm thrilled that you've picked up on that because my background as an event producer provides us with an innate understanding, we hope, of the events world and the environments that our clients operate within, and that's not just on site and how we deliver goods in, but also how, of course, we curate, specify, and take the pain away from the apparel, merch, uniform, merchandise process, if you like, while still offering the latest in trending products and ranges and branding solutions and services that go alongside that. So for sure, it's our heartland and something, we always say we love what we do, and genuinely we do love what we do. In line with that, within the events world, it's something that I just love being in, and we've recently, so the last couple of years, we've been exhibiting, we're looking at new face-to-face opportunities for TeamTogs as a business to get out there more because we understand the power of face-to-face and the importance of it and how merchandise and uniforms creates that lasting impression and often a take-home impression as well.
Most certainly. I'm showing my badge on my polo shirt here in my branded apparel today. And Katie, welcome to the podcast for the first time. We've obviously met Karen on the podcast before. Tell us a little bit, maybe first of all, about your role within TeamTogs.
So TeamTogs, we're small but mighty. So I look after marketing, business development, and sustainability, because they basically go hand in hand. Because if we want to grow, we need to grow sustainably, because there is no other option, basically. So it's the right thing to do. And I've actually known Karen for a very, very long time. Since we were, well, I won't say how young we were, but it's an absolute delight to work for TeamTogs, because it's a brilliant business.
Fabulous. Well, let's get into it. We've got a few things that we wanted to try and sort of get through today as much as we can, when we've got sort of 25-30 minutes. I often get to the end of these podcasts and think, oh crikey, we've only maybe scratched the surface or got through a few points, but I'm keen to get through everything that me and the TeamTogs guys have kind of exchanged on email in advance of this today. So let's kick off with finding out a little bit more about the BPMA Step Forward pledge. Tell us a little bit more about that, and I'm not sure who's going to kick us off with this one.
Yeah, so I'm going to take that one, James.
Brilliant,
so
Katie.
Basically, the British Promotional Merchandise Association is our trade association, and they have something called the BPMA Step Forward pledge, and it's basically a reflection of an organisation's commitment to sustainability. So we took it upon ourselves to go for this accreditation, and it's been a really good exercise that we conducted, where it made us really look internally at the way we work with our suppliers, with our customers, and the way we work. We look after our colleagues, so the whole remit really. And what was quite gratifying is that we've actually been doing a lot of things anyway for a long time, but really this helped kind of formalise really what we do, and also helped us address some things that we weren't doing that we could do and have started to do as well. So really, I'm not going to go through the whole list of things that we do, but with clients, we're actively promoting the most sustainable options. We're encouraging less waste, less bulk purchasing. We have basically invested in production things such as the latest in DTF printing machines, where we can print with minimal waste and most efficiently. We can provide the accreditations for our products that we promote, so that clients can understand the carbon footprint where required and other sustainability metrics as well. And we also looked at the way we work internally, and we are already kind of reusing all our packaging that comes in. We reuse it, turn it around to send things out. Everything is that the packaging that we have to use that's new is recyclable and biodegradable. We switched. One of the things that we did do as a result of this pledge is we looked at the way we manage waste, and we've switched to a private company where 97% of all the waste is recycled, nothing goes to landfill, including our print films. So there's just there's a lot of things. So some of the things we were doing and some of the things we weren't doing, but we are now doing, and we've sort of wrapped it all up in this pledge. And also the way we train our staff and work with our external environment. So we're very much partnered up with a charity called Goods for Good. In fact, we were involved with an event last week. So we actively encourage any unwanted product at the end of events. So any surplus things, we actively encourage products to be passed on to Goods for Good, and actually we can repurpose things as well for clients. And we even offer a textile shredding services to if things can't be passed on for whatever reason, because the brand need to be protected, but it's a shredding service which again makes sure that nothing goes to landfill and things are reused. So really we're really proud to have got this pledge. It made us do some things, and also made us feel proud about some of the things that we were already doing as well. And we're kind of now looking at what is the next step really, what what should we do next as a small organisation? What's most important for our business and for our clients, in terms of, should it be EcoVadis, should it be B Corp, an ISO? So we're a small business. We're looking at what's the best thing is our next step, whilst also maintaining the step forward pledge, because you don't maintain it unless you show progress as well.
Absolutely. And one thing that stands out to me immediately, and something I want to ask you, is over the last 2, 3, 4 years, I'm going to say post-pandemic, because there's been a huge sort of sustainability discussion since the pandemic, particularly. It was there before the pandemic, but it certainly has blown up and become a far bigger entity and a far bigger talking point since then. And one thing that a lot of event organisers I've heard ask and are maybe confused about is actually how to track. Well, how do we ensure that our supply chain is compliant, or making progress? How do we ensure that everybody that we have to utilize to put our event on is maintaining or focused on similar goals that we're focused on achieving? And so everything you've just said then about the BPMA step forward pledge and the assessment criteria and things like that must have an impact when you're speaking to new clients in the event space, to be able to sort of show them and show proof, for want of a better phrase.
We can demonstrate and we can evidence the products that we're offering. So we, being involved with event industry news, event sustainability live, etc. We've met some really interesting people who are representing sustainability in a very impactful way within the events world. So Matt Gray, for instance, at Event Decision, who we're having conversations with, and we popped down to Confex actually a couple of weeks ago and had a quick chat with him on stand, and to have a look around the show to see if it's somewhere that maybe perhaps TeamTogs should be and or not. But an interesting conversation with him. We were sort of airing where we're at now, and what we could be doing, should be doing, if you like, as well, to service our clients really well. And of course, he's so knowledgeable when it comes to tracking and working with agencies to up the ante in this environment. And the talk around B Corp and EcoVadis and what's right for us as a business model, what's right for our clients, what solves their pains, how we can monitor, track, and provide the right metrics and data. There's a big conversation, James, around these kind of throwaway lines of, well, event merch, swag, does anyone really need that? Does anyone really do it? And of course, we felt, and Katie spent a bit of time on this over the last few months, reaching out to our clients across a broad range of sectors. So, I think as an organisation, businesses can often be quite insular. You're focused on the internal, the day-to-day, and just delivering and growing your client base. One thing that Katie's had a focus on over the last few months is reaching out to our clients and potential new ones about their views towards branded clothing and merchandise and uniforms, their views about the impact of that, and how they are balancing the challenges of the world that we live in, with constraints on profit margins and costs increasing. And she's been talking to them through our newsletters. We've had some amazing responses, actually, and I'll pass over to you, Katie, for this, and via some LinkedIn polls. And it's come up with some really great data. And it's so powerful to hear from the audiences that we deal with and work with to understand their pains, their challenges, and give us a broader breadth of knowledge in the market, if you like, that we're looking to help develop.
Is this, Katie, part of the Have Your Say campaign?
Yes.
Is that where this ties in? Yeah, I read about this.
So we've sort of reached out to our clients and anyone on LinkedIn who wanted to participate, of which many are in the event industry. And we really wanted to kind of test, to get the temperature of what was going on. So there's a few kind of key things came up. So one of the things was sustainability is important, but equally, I would say even higher than that is cost and quality in terms of the people balancing that and the importance of getting the very best value for money in the current climate. Because one of the questions we asked was about budgets, and interestingly, at the very best take on that, budgets are flat, but 47% of the people that responded said their budgets had shrunk. So in terms of clothing and merch, so it's even more important that what you put out there, what you offer to your clients, works as hard as possible, has as much longevity as possible, and obviously we believe that that can be with sustainable credentials as well. But it was quite humbling is the wrong word, but
it was important for us to hear it. I think it was that temperature check.
Yeah.
What was great, and it's a statistic, Katie's got some of these stats actually in front of her, was a statistic about the impact of what our audiences feel about clothing and merchandise. How important is it? Because that's quite important for us as a company. Challenges your very existence, if you like, in the industry that we work in. How important actually is it? Can you do away with it?
And actually, one of the sort of reassuring things from us was, and obviously we totally back this, but from our respondents was, 74% of the people that responded said that they did feel that it's still really important in terms of promoting loyalty and feelings of belonging and brand recognition. We know we feel it in our bones, but it was good to hear that back from the industry, because you do hear there is sort of some people saying, do we need branded merch at events? However, what we would say is that more so than ever, because the world's become so digital, there is no physical takeaway from anything, and even if events are hybrid or online as well, having something physical that can help you remember the messages, remember the brand recognition that's used. We know from some stats that our brand recognition lasts for up to 2 years after the recipient has received an item. So for the reasons of longevity and brand recognition and having something physical and tangible loyalty and connection, it's even more important. But obviously it's important that we guide our clients into what that merchandise is, because the days of sort of throwaway bits of tat are over. So we believe less is more. We would always promote something which is going to last, that is quality. Those are the things that are important.
There's a shift, talking of brands as well, which reinforces this even more, is this shift towards brands. So our clients are often asking for not a copy of a chili bottle, but the chili bottle. The brands that are out there that are known, that are seen doing really well in the retail space, for us to be able to bring those in and offer them. So there's surely that reinforces our point a little further, which is brands are so powerful and will stand out above others if done right and done well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with branded merch, I've seen it 100 times, however, different trade shows, either working out or visiting or whatever it may be, and companies give out. Remember one company giving out baseball caps with their logo on it, and it was the quality of the cap was good enough, but I thought, when am I ever really actually going to go on holiday and put a baseball cap on that's got the logo of a company at a trade show that I went to once? I'm not going to wear that.
It needs to be something that is useful.
And it's the sort of thing that will sit in the boot of the car for years, or in your desk. I remember before I was freelance, the last sort of full-time job that I had, when I cleared out my desk, I remember all these things that I'd picked up from visiting trade shows, pens, pencil sharpeners, all sorts of bits of stationery, mugs, all sorts of weird and wonderful things that had just been sort of lingering there for forever. And I think I think there's still some bits in the kitchen drawer somewhere that get used. But I suppose my point is that merchandise is still something that is great. I still think it's great for people to have something tangible to walk away with. People like picking stuff up and stuff that's tactile, but whereas it used to be a really easy decision, didn't it? Just get some of these. It has to be better thought
it
out
used
now.
to be the stress ball, right, which
Yeah.
isn't particularly sustainable and not something we get asked for anymore. But
Awful.
building on that, it's the experience that can be gained around having that memorable item. So one of the things we've been up to in the last year is developing our live event services, and we ran the most wonderful brand experience working with TRO at the PGA for BMW. It's their 20th anniversary. And we provided an on-site for the week long of the PGA from the first day, if you like, which I think was possibly a press event or an owner's event.
Is that the one at Wentworth? Is the BMW at Wentworth? Yeah.
And we provided on-site embroidery services. So the client came to us and said, "Is this something that you can help us with?" And if you're a BMW owner and you're attending the PGA within the BMW village, you could come on to the stand and receive a personalised embroidered golf towel. And we ran that for a week. But we provided on-site printing services before, but it is the first time we'd run an activation with embroidery at such volume, if you like. And the queues were incredible. People waiting to receive this gift from BMW with their initials on it.
And that's exactly the type of merchandise that we're talking about here. It's so personalised. People will choose to use it. It is very, very unique to the event as well.
And driven by such a creative agency as well, thinking that through, that kind of experiential element, a joy to work with them and to deliver it, because it on every level it just simply worked. It was just wonderful to run it, lovely to see the audience responses, the joy that people had that they were getting something free from that, and it was for them. From that event was it just reinforced the power, the impact that merch done well can have.
And the memory, so they memorize the memory of them getting it, is, and then having it afterwards is, that's what it is, the brand recognition. And actually people who were not BMW owners were asking if they could have one, because
it's a money can't buy.
Yeah, it was a money can't buy, and it was just a golf towel, but personalised golf towel, but brilliant.
Yeah, and the having the ability to do it on site, BMW is a global, behemoth of a brand, but having the ability to do stuff on site, can that translate to other events maybe that don't have as big a brand as BMW behind them? Is there...
Yeah, we have. Well, we can offer that with a service for print, for instance, at parties and dinners and things like that, and smaller scale events. We've just been approached actually for a big concert tour that's coming up this year. We've been approached to provide on-site print via means of, and I can't disclose the client or the name, but by means of patches applique that running a personalisation station where VIP guests who bought the package via this parent brand, staying within hotels, can come and they can bring or use merchandise that's provided and choose their branding, and we apply it to a garment, a bag, etc. So it's a lovely touch, shall we say. It's just one of those that makes it so it's relevant, it's cool, it's merch at a concert in that case, in that particular instance, and it just has impact. It just leaves in it the right impression,
making memories.
And feeling cared for by the brand.
Is does sort of doing stuff on demand on site have a potential waste impact? Can it, in the right circumstances, is it applicable to people to be able to reduce advance orders if they can do stuff on site? Or is that something that has a time with the sustainability aspect as well, potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're promoting the option to basically print on demand, whether it's on location or embroidery on location, or even order in advance as well. So recipients for an event can order specifically what they want. So that means that people aren't being given stuff they don't want.
That data can all come through our portal, our wardrobe management and kit order portal. and that can just be produced. So particularly when you're dealing with something that's size driven, so like your sweatshirt, hoodie, etc., we need to be sure that you're not left with a whole load of sizes and stock that you're never going to use. You're going to end up having to donate. Shouldn't be producing them in the first place. And our wardrobe management system, we call it KIT. And it's designed for exactly that purpose. It's an on-demand system. And whether that's for a guest giveaway, if you like, that they're going to pick up at the event, or it's just simply to use to gather data that we go on site and run, we can do that. We can do that too. So, and it is a great way of keeping budgets tight, stock holdings down, keeping it slick, no waste. It does sound counterintuitive, I think, for a company selling product to not encourage your clients, to actively discourage them from buying bulk. However, we feel it's the right thing, the right way to work.
Absolutely, and I think that for any business, if you're ultimately promoting the right message, even though even if it may sound counterintuitive initially, I think that if you're taking the approach that you guys are clearly taking towards the business operations, that from a longevity point of view, that's going to have benefits in the medium and long term, isn't it? If people buy into your message, not just what it is you do.
I hope so, because client relationships aren't about just the here and now and about just taking an order from somebody. That's not who we are. That's not what we're about. We operate, if you like, as an agency. We're about client relationships, account management, long term. Working, getting to know our customers, their environments, their audiences, their brand. Most importantly, up front, that allows us to grow those relationships and business with them for long term planning, not short.
Speaking of ordering, with one eye on time, new website, and I've just got scribbled down here in advance. New website, less products. Again, sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Sounds
again, what are we doing? No, so as part of us looking when we were looking at the Step Forward pledge, and it's always been on our radar anyway. We decided to streamline the products that we offer on our website, and we basically removed thousands and thousands of products that we didn't feel reflect our commitment to sustainability. So I think we've gone from 100,000 down to 20,000-ish products, which is massive, but it was the right thing to do. So we've basically...
It was onerous for us, as well as for our clients. So anyone browsing, we have received many inquiries off our websites, and some info ads, things that come through with ideas lists and things. And we must have been driving our clients mad. What do I select? What do I choose? And so from a specifying point of view, to narrow it down with sustainability in mind has been a job, shall we say, but one that was really worth doing. I think it will make everyone's lives easier, and we can provide the credentials behind those products, whether it's the CO2 footprint, so that might include packaging, transportation, where and how the product's made, where it's being shipped from, that kind of thing. Certifications behind it. So it's been a busy year, James.
and everyone loves a stat as well. And from a marketing and a comms point of view, Katie, that that those sort of stats, they are powerful, aren't they? Let's not hide behind the fact that from a messaging perspective, to be able to communicate that out to the industry, say this is the commitment that we've made as a supplier, is to reduce from that to that in terms of what we've got on our website, so that we tie in with your targets as well. That's a powerful message.
Yeah, definitely, and it's the right thing to do. We've had really positive feedback about that decision, and and we're looking at what is next. But yeah, definitely.
What was the dare I ask? What was the process of that like in terms of? Was it a complete rebuild of the website, or was it just a case of scaling it down? How long was the actual process involved in doing that?
Pretty much. Am I able to present on this, James? Shall I show you? Shall we see if that works?
You can have a go. Bear with us, viewers. We're entering into unknown
Let's have a
podcast
go.
territory at the moment. But if you want to give it a go, I've no problem with this. I'm
Let's have a
excited.
go.
I'm excited to be a part of this experiment, everybody.
Am I sharing screen yet? I'm possibly not, am I? Hang on.
No, what I may do is I may get Sam to play in some of that sort of jazz elevator music. Sam, if you can find any, now's the time to play it.
Right, I'm going to share my screen. There you go. So if I go back to the TeamTogs homepage,
Can you see it?
can you see that?
Let me add this to the stage now. There we go. We can now see it.
Love that, doing that live. That's brilliant. Okay, so here you go. Here is a quick glimpse at our new TeamTogs.
Oh, one second. There we go. Yeah, I've got it here. Yep, we've got it on screen.
Lovely. There you go. So here's a glimpse of our new site with a rolling banner that talks about our sustainability, our services. There's lookbooks on the site to give our clients some initial ideas, new product links, made in the UK products, with also a link and a hyperlink through to our clothing, specifically a much bigger portal of clothing as well, which will have great CSR manufacturing credentials attached to them. So you can sort of see here trending products, a little bit about us, and gorgeous branded sneakers. There you go. Can be done on brand.
And the beauty about you doing this is you're showing potential podcast guests that they can share their screen as well. But also for anybody who's anybody who's listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything, they're now going to dive straight over to the Event Industry News website to be able to watch the video of this podcast so they can see your screen as well.
Brilliant. There you go. I'll stop sharing now though. But there you are. So it's all there, and it's much easier for our customers to use and navigate and search for. So let's have a look at bags and cases, for instance. It's a very it's hanging. Sorry, internet connection. There you go.
Very user friendly. Well. I mean, what we'll say is to people as well. They need to go straight over there after they've listened to today's podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah.
They need to go and have a little nosy around themselves and see what they can see.
Just stop share there for you, James.
Oh no, it's absolutely fine. Oh, I'm excited about that. We've never had somebody share the screen via the platform that we use.
I noticed the present button. You see, I took the opportunity.
It's worked absolutely perfectly. Sam, there was no panic. Sam back at the Event Industry News studio, who kind of edits these and gets them ready to go out there. I'm sure he'll have been listening, going, "Oh no, what are they about to do here? Do I actually have to prepare the elevator music?" No, he didn't. That's absolutely brilliant. So before we go, why don't we let people know where they go to actually get on that website? So let's give the address out.
So team-togs.com.
team-togs.com, everybody, is where to go. And presumably on LinkedIn, all the socials as well, Instagram, they can find TeamTogs there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we use the website as a start of a 10, but a lot of times we work and discuss specific briefs with our clients, especially within the event industry. So we would just say,
don't panic.
Don't feel the need to trawl through necessarily, even though it's only 20,000 products now. To contact us, there is a tab on the website, discuss a brief, because what we love to do, the essence of us, is to work with agencies and event organisers, listen to what they, their objectives, their audience, and then come up with the absolute, the right options for them in a collaborative way. So often we start with, a Teams or a Zoom call to understand that, rather than expecting our clients to kind of go through the website.
Know what they want.
Because we like to sort of help to be part of the creative process rather than people having to come to us knowing exactly what they want. Obviously, sometimes they do, but a lot of the time they don't.
And also, even if they do know what they want, having the input of the company who are actually supplying it, who have got experience of working with a much wider portfolio and the knowledge, even if you know what you want. I mean, I've been in there before. I went to buy a guitar a couple of years ago and I knew what I wanted, and I went into the music shop knowing exactly what I wanted and came out with something completely different.
Yeah. Because you go and speak to an expert. Absolutely. It expands your your understanding for sure.
Absolutely. So a great way to bring today's podcast to an end and a conclusion of sorts, because it's never really a conclusion and an end, because we always encourage people to listen to these, to watch these podcasts, and go off and do your own research, do your own exploration. And once again, Team-Togs is where you need to go. Team-Togs.com.
Correct. Yeah.
Team-Togs.com is where you need to go after this. Have a little look around. We got a sneak peek of that on today's episode. And thanks very much to both of my guests, Karen Saragusi and Katie Noonan from Team Togs, for talking to us today. And before we wrap up, a few of our own little mentions. As we've said, if you're listening to this today via wherever you get your podcast from audio-wise, brilliant. But please do head over to eventindustrynews.com, where you can check out the latest news, features, special supplements, and of course the A to Z supplier directory. If you work in the events industry and you're looking for a supplier, a product, or a service, the chances are you will find it within the extensive A to Z supplier directory over at eventindustrynews.com, where, as we've already mentioned, you can also view video versions of all of our podcasts. Of course, you may have started your journey there today and watched the video version from beginning to this point at the moment, but please do remember as well to go to wherever you get your audio podcasts from and make sure that you are subscribed to the Event Industry News podcast so that you get updates and notifications whenever a new episode drops. My thanks once again to my guests today. It brings us neatly and nicely to the end of today's episode. My name's James Dixon. This is the Event Industry News podcast. Thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.